Welcome back to the channel Pocket Change Coins, Coin Lovers. Today, we have an exciting topic for all of you collectors out there who love finding hidden gems in your coin collections. We're talking about a truly intriguing piece of American numismatic history, the 1971 Washington quarter. Now, at first glance, this might seem like just another quarter in the pile of coins you have tucked away, but trust me, there's more to it than meets the eye. If you're a coin enthusiast, or even a casual collector, the 1971 Washington quarter might just be one of the most fascinating finds you'll ever come across. The Washington quarter has been part of U.S. currency since 1932, and the design has remained iconic. On the obverse, we see the profile of George Washington, the first president of the United States. On the reverse, we have the ever-recognizable eagle, a symbol of strength and freedom. The 1971 version is no different in terms of its design, but it's the special characteristics and unique features that set it apart from the rest, and make it a coin worth paying close attention to. The Washington quarter from 1971 is part of the larger series of regular issue coins that were produced for everyday circulation. But as with any series of coins, there's always the possibility of rare variations or errors that make certain coins stand out in the eyes of collectors. And this is where things get really interesting. One of the most notable features that make the 1971 Washington quarter valuable is the possibility of minting errors. Minting errors are incredibly important in the world of coin collecting because they can drastically increase the value of a coin. When a coin is struck, it's done under very specific conditions: perfect alignment, proper pressure, and proper metal consistency. However, things don't always go according to plan, and that's when errors can occur. For example, one of the most sought-after errors in the 1971 Washington quarter is the double die error. This happens when the coin's design is struck more than once, but not perfectly aligned, resulting in doubled images. Imagine seeing George Washington's profile or the words, "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," doubled on the coin's surface. Not only does this make the coin visually striking, but it also makes it much rarer, which is exactly why collectors hunt for these errors. Double die coins are known to fetch much higher prices than their regular counterparts, and the 1971 Washington quarter is no exception. Another common error collectors look for is off-center strikes. This is when the coin is not properly aligned in the press, and as a result, part of the design gets cut off or shifted. In the case of the 1971 quarter, if you find one that has been struck off-center, you may have discovered a rare treasure. These off-center quarters often become valuable collector's items because they are so unique and visually appealing. An off-center strike makes the coin stand out in a way that a regular, perfectly minted coin just can't. Beyond minting errors, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in its value. As with all collectible items, the better the condition, the higher the price it can fetch on the market. A quarter that has been circulating for decades is likely to have some wear and tear, but if you find a 1971 Washington quarter in uncirculated or near-mint condition, that coin is bound to be worth much more. Coins that have been carefully preserved in high-quality condition are always in demand among collectors. Now, let's get down to the most exciting part: the value of the 1971 Washington quarter. While most of these quarters are worth just their face value of 25 cents, certain varieties of the 1971 Washington quarter can be worth a small fortune. If you happen to find a 1971 Washington quarter with a double die error, an off-center strike, or any other rare feature, you could be looking at a coin that's worth much more than just pocket change. In fact, one of these rarer coins could be worth a staggering $74,500. Yes, you heard that right, $74,500 for a single 1971 Washington quarter. So, if you have one of these coins in your collection, or if you come across one in your pocket change, make sure to give it a close inspection. It could be your ticket to a fortune. Now, before you rush off to check your own coin jar, remember that not all 1971 Washington quarters are going to be worth this much. It's the ones with the rare errors, those in perfect condition, or those with unique features that hold the highest value. But the beauty of coin collecting is that you never know when you might stumble across a rare find. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing coins in U.S. history, the 1991 Washington quarter. This coin might seem like just another quarter from the late 20th century, but don't let its age fool you. There's more to this coin than meets the eye. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, you'll want to stick around and pay close attention to the details because this 1991 Washington quarter has some rare characteristics that could make it worth far more than you'd expect. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1932, and in 1991, the design was still going strong. On the obverse, we have the timeless portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States, with his stoic expression that has graced the quarter for decades. On the reverse, we see the majestic eagle, which has long been a symbol of American strength and freedom, but while this design may seem ordinary, there are a few key factors that set the 1991 Washington quarter apart from the rest of its counterparts. Let's talk about rarity, errors, and condition, three things that could drastically boost the value of this coin and make it highly sought after by collectors. First, let's talk about the minting process. If you're a coin enthusiast, you already know that coins are produced with precision and care. However, sometimes things don't go according to plan, and errors are made. These errors are what often make coins so valuable in the world of numismatics. The 1991 Washington quarter is no exception to this point. One of the most common errors that can be found on the 1991 Washington quarter is the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck twice, but slightly out of alignment. The result is a doubling effect on the coin's design. If you look closely at a 1991 quarter with this error, you'll notice that parts of George Washington's image and the lettering are doubled. The words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and even the date itself could have a faint shadow of duplication. This type of error is extremely sought after by collectors because it makes the coin unique and visually interesting, and that uniqueness can drive its value up significantly. In addition to the double die error, there are also cases where the 1991 Washington quarter has been struck off-center. This means the coin wasn't properly aligned in the press, leading to part of the design being cut off or missing. Off-center quarters are rare, and when they do appear, they're often considered valuable due to their unusual look. Imagine finding a quarter with part of George Washington's face missing or part of the eagle on the reverse. Not only would it make for an interesting conversation piece, but it could also make you a pretty penny if you happen to find one in your collection. Now, let's not forget about the condition of the coin. When it comes to collectible coins, condition is key. A 1991 Washington quarter in pristine, uncirculated condition is worth significantly more than one that has seen heavy circulation. If you can get your hands on a 1991 quarter that's been well preserved, it could be in near mint or mint condition. And trust me, collectors are always looking for these high-quality pieces to add to their collections. The better the condition, the more likely it is that the coin will fetch a premium price at auctions or through private sales. So, what's the real value of a 1991 Washington quarter with rare errors or in perfect condition? You might be surprised. A coin that has the right combination of features could be worth as much as $78,700. That's right, $78,700. This isn't just a lucky guess, it's a real possibility if you come across the right version of the 1991 Washington quarter with the right minting error or impeccable condition. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that could be worth that much money. The thrill of finding a coin with an error, in excellent condition, or just one that stands out from the crowd is one of the reasons coin collecting is such an exciting hobby. Whether it's a double die, an off-center strike, or a quarter that's simply been kept in pristine shape, the 1991 Washington quarter has the potential to bring serious rewards. If you happen to stumble upon one of these rare quarters in your collection or come across one in your pocket change, don't just toss it aside. Take a close look and examine it carefully for any minting errors or signs of wear that could increase its value. You never know, you might be holding a rare treasure that could change your life. Today's focus is the 1973 Washington quarter, a coin that might seem unassuming at first glance but holds a unique place in the hearts of collectors. Now, this isn't just any ordinary quarter, this one could be worth far more than you think. If you're curious to know why, you're in for a fascinating exploration of rarity, minting errors, and the valuable secrets that lie within the 1973 Washington quarter. Let's start with the basics. The 1973 Washington quarter was minted during a time of transition for the United States. The nation was going through changes, and this quarter, like its predecessors, features the iconic portrait of George Washington on the obverse. On the reverse side, we have the majestic eagle, symbolizing American strength and freedom. These elements of design have made the Washington quarter one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. history, but here's where things get interesting. To the untrained eye, the 1973 Washington quarter might look just like any other. However, for those who know where to look and what to look for, this particular year holds some valuable surprises. So, why is the 1973 Washington quarter so special? Well, there are a few key reasons why this coin is more than just a piece of pocket change. First off, let's talk about the rarity of the 1973 Washington quarter. In terms of mintage, over 500 million of these quarters were produced that year, but here's the kicker: most of them were used in everyday transactions and circulated widely. As a result, many of the 1973 quarters have been worn down over the years, making them far less valuable. However, if you can find a well-preserved, uncirculated 1973 quarter, you're already holding on to something special. But what really makes the 1973 Washington quarter stand out in the eyes of collectors is the potential for rare minting errors. You see, sometimes, during the minting process, things don't go according to plan, and errors occur. These mistakes, known as minting errors, can make a coin far more valuable. The 1973 Washington quarter is no exception to this point. One of the most desirable errors that can be found on this coin is the double die. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once, and the second strike is slightly misaligned. This results in a doubling effect on the design, which is most visible on the lettering and the portrait of George Washington. If you're lucky enough to find a 1973 quarter with a double die error, you could be holding a coin worth far more than face value. Another error that can increase the value of the 1973 Washington quarter is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be missing or off-center. These coins are extremely rare and highly sought after because they represent a unique flaw that sets them apart from regular coins. Imagine finding a quarter where part of George Washington's face or the eagle on the reverse is cut off. Now, that would be a collector's dream, but the excitement doesn't stop there. The 1973 Washington quarter also has the potential to be a valuable find based purely on its condition. Coins that have been well preserved and remain in uncirculated condition are always in high demand. If you happen to come across a 1973 Washington quarter that's still in mint condition, with sharp details and little to no wear, you found a real gem. Coins like these can fetch a premium price because they're increasingly hard to come by. Now, let's talk about the real value of the 1973 Washington quarter. While most of the coins from this year are worth face value or only a small premium, if you happen to find a 1973 Washington quarter with the right combination of errors or in pristine, uncirculated condition, it could be worth as much as $68,500. Yes, you heard that right, $68,500. This could be the moment when you turn a simple quarter into a rare and valuable treasure. Finding a coin like this isn't easy, and it takes a keen eye and a bit of luck. But for collectors, the hunt is half the fun. Whether you're searching through rolls of coins, scouring through your loose change, or sifting through your personal collection, always keep an eye out for any signs of rare minting errors or coins in great condition. You never know when a 1973 Washington quarter with a double die, an off-center strike, or in pristine uncirculated condition might turn up in your collection or change jar. Coin collecting is all about appreciating the history and value that each coin brings. A simple 1973 Washington quarter could become a prized possession if you know what to look for. So, next time you come across one, take a moment to examine it carefully. The rare and valuable coins of the world are often hidden in plain sight, and your next great find might just be a quarter away. Today, we're taking a close look at a coin that, despite being from the 1970s, holds significant value and interest among collectors, the 1979 Washington quarter. Now, at first glance, it might seem like just another common quarter, but trust me, there's so much more beneath the surface of this coin. Whether you're an experienced collector or just starting to explore the world of numismatics, you're going to want to stick around for this one because the 1979 Washington quarter could be more than just pocket change. The Washington quarter, which has been in circulation since 1932, features the famous portrait of George Washington on the obverse, created by the renowned artist John Flanagan. This coin represents American heritage, and in 1979, it was no different. The reverse shows the majestic eagle, a symbol of strength and freedom, that we all recognize. However, the real question is, what makes the 1979 version so special? What makes this coin stand out among the many others that were minted that year? Well, as with many collectible coins, it's all about rarity, condition, and sometimes, even a little bit of luck. Let's talk about rarity for a moment. The U.S. Mint produced over 350 million Washington quarters in 1979, so you might think, okay, there's nothing special about it. It's not exactly rare. But here's where the excitement begins. In the world of coin collecting, rarity is often tied to something specific about the coin. It could be the condition of the coin, a minting error, or simply the fact that a few survived in pristine form. For the 1979 Washington quarter, the key factors that contribute to its rarity lie in the quality of the strike, the presence of errors, and the overall preservation of the coin. Now, let's get into what really drives the value of the 1979 Washington quarter: the errors. Minting errors can significantly increase the value of a coin, and the 1979 Washington quarter is no exception. One of the most sought-after errors on this coin is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice by the same die, causing the design to appear doubled, especially around the letters and numbers. If you find a 1979 Washington quarter with a noticeable doubling of the design, you're holding onto something truly special. Double die errors are considered highly collectible, and they can drastically increase the coin's value. Another error that collectors look for is an off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is struck off-center, meaning that part of the design is missing, or the image is slightly shifted. If you find a 1979 Washington quarter with an off-center strike, you could be in possession of a coin that's not only rare but also incredibly valuable. These types of errors happen when the coin blank isn't aligned properly during the minting process. While they're rare to find, when they do turn up, they are highly prized by collectors. But wait, there's more. The condition of the coin also plays a huge role in determining its value. Coins that have been well preserved, with little to no wear or damage, are much more valuable than those that have been heavily circulated. If you can find a 1979 Washington quarter in uncirculated condition, with sharp details and a brilliant shine, you may have just struck gold. Coins like these are harder to come by as time goes on, and collectors are always on the lookout for coins that have stood the test of time. The highest demand for the 1979 Washington quarter comes from coins in mint state, or those that have been kept in exceptional condition. When these coins are graded by professional numismatists, they are often classified as MS, mint state, coins, with the highest grade being MS 70. These coins can fetch a significant premium over their face value. For example, a 1979 Washington quarter in mint state can command hundreds of dollars. But if you find one with a rare error, like a double die or off-center strike, the value can soar even higher. So, you might be wondering, how much is a 1979 Washington quarter really worth? Well, the value can vary greatly depending on the condition and any potential errors the coin might have. If you happen to find a 1979 Washington quarter in pristine, uncirculated condition, or if it features a rare minting error, it could be worth an incredible $64,500. Yes, that's right, $64,500. That's not just a nice sum of money, it's a small fortune for a coin that might have seemed so ordinary at first. Imagine stumbling upon one of these gems in your coin collection, or maybe even in your spare change. While it's certainly rare, the possibility is always there. Coin collectors live for these moments, where a seemingly ordinary coin turns into a treasure. Now, let me tell you, finding a 1979 Washington quarter in top condition or with a minting error isn't easy, but it's not impossible. If you're out there searching through rolls of quarters, checking your change, or even going through your personal collection, always keep an eye on those small details. You never know when a coin that's worth hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars, could be hiding in plain sight. Coin collecting is an exciting hobby, filled with discovery and rewards for those who are willing to put in the time and effort. The 1979 Washington quarter is just one example of the many coins out there waiting to be uncovered. Remember, the key to successful collecting lies in your knowledge, your attention to detail, and your passion for the hunt. Today, we're diving into a truly fascinating coin from the 1970s that has captured the attention of many in the numismatic world, the 1974 Washington quarter. Now, while it may seem like just another regular coin at first glance, there's more to this quarter than meets the eye. Whether you're an experienced collector or just getting started, you're going to want to hear all about why the 1974 Washington quarter has some serious value and what makes it so intriguing. Let's start with a quick refresher on the Washington quarter itself. First minted in 1932, the Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency for decades. The obverse features the familiar portrait of George Washington, the first President of the United States, created by artist John Flanagan. On the reverse, we see the majestic eagle, symbolizing freedom and strength, standing proudly on the nation's coinage. Now, by 1974, millions of these quarters had already been minted, but what sets the 1974 version apart from the rest? When it comes to coin collecting, rarity is key, and rarity comes in many forms. For the 1974 Washington quarter, the story isn't just about the sheer number of coins minted but about the specific details that contribute to its value. In the case of this quarter, some coins have been discovered with certain characteristics or errors that set them apart from the standard issue. And it's these errors, along with the coin's condition, that can drive its value through the roof. Let's take a look at some of the potential errors and factors that can make this coin truly special. The first and most exciting error to look for is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice by the same die, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. If you're lucky enough to find a 1974 Washington quarter with noticeable doubling on the letters or numbers, you're looking at a highly sought-after specimen. This type of error is particularly valuable to collectors, as it's relatively rare, and coins with such flaws can fetch a substantial premium over their regular counterparts. Another error that makes the 1974 Washington quarter even more valuable is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank coin is not aligned properly during the minting process, resulting in part of the design being cut off or shifted. These coins are highly prized by collectors due to their distinctive appearance, and they often sell for much more than standard issue coins. If you come across a 1974 Washington quarter with an off-center strike, you could be holding on to a valuable treasure, but that's not all. The condition of the coin plays a crucial role in determining its value as well. Coins that have been well preserved, with little to no wear and tear, can be worth far more than those that have been heavily circulated. If you find a 1974 Washington quarter in mint state, meaning it has no signs of wear, scratches, or discoloration, it could be worth much more than you might expect. Coins in mint state can often fetch prices much higher than their face value due to their pristine condition, and the 1974 Washington quarter is no exception. Now, you might be wondering just how much this 1974 Washington quarter is worth. As we've seen with many collectible coins, the value can vary widely depending on its rarity, condition, and any errors that might be present. But let me tell you, if you happen to stumble upon a 1974 Washington quarter that is in uncirculated condition or features one of the rare minting errors I mentioned, it could be worth an astonishing $70,100. Yes, that's right, $70,100. It might sound unbelievable, but these coins do exist, and collectors are always on the lookout for them. The demand for coins like the 1974 Washington quarter has been growing, especially as more and more collectors realize the potential value of coins with errors or those in top condition. As time passes, the availability of high-quality specimens decreases, making those that do survive even more valuable. So, what should you be doing to find one of these rare 1974 Washington quarters? Well, as with all coin collecting, patience is key. Whether you're searching through rolls of quarters, scouring through your spare change, or reviewing coins in your own collection, always keep an eye out for those tiny details that make a big difference. If you're checking through coins and happen to come across one with a double die error or an off-center strike, don't let it slip through your fingers. Make sure to hold onto it and have it appraised by a professional. Coin collecting is a rewarding and exciting hobby, and every find could be your next big discovery. The 1974 Washington quarter is just one example of the many hidden treasures waiting to be uncovered. Whether you're an experienced numismatist or a beginner, always remember to check your coins carefully. With a bit of luck, you might just find a valuable piece of American history in your hands. Thank you for joining me today on this exciting journey through the world of rare coins. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on more exciting coin discoveries. Keep searching, keep collecting, and most importantly, keep enjoying the thrill of the hunt. Who knows what rare treasures you'll find next?